Hello, Dense MC here with another Charlie's Angels summary and review. Broadcast on December 15th, 1976, the Seance is the 11th episode. A wealthy older lady hires the Angels when her valuable jewelry goes missing. Baffled at how a thief could get past security, the Angels suspect an inside job, but don't know how right they are. When clues lead them to the vulnerable lady's spiritual medium, the Angels smell a seance-scented scam. Kelly goes undercover as an heiress looking for spiritual direction, but finds a powerful hypnotist that dredges up painful memories in search of profit. This episode features Carol Cook as delusional spiritualist Madame Dorian, and Renee Auberjonois as Dorian's assistant and hidden hypnotist Terrence. Renee will return playing a different character in Season 4. Also featured in this episode is Gertrude Flynn as Grace Rodehaver, the wealthy victim of theft, a pre-Spaceballs George Weiner as LaPlante, Grace's insurance man, and an unknown, uncredited actress plays the terrifying matron Beamish. Seriously, I could not find any information on this poor lady despite the important role she played. Even the bikini-clad lady in Charlie's office who appears for 3 seconds gets credited. While some reviewers may see this as a mistake, it can still make sense. It has been established that Kelly is an orphan, but also raised by nuns. Here, during hypnosis, she regresses and recalls an abusive matron named Beamish, suggesting a city or state-run orphanage. Kelly, being in a state-run orphanage and Catholic orphanage, can both be true if she was transferred from one to the other, an unfortunate reality of actual orphans. One can even speculate further that the abuse to Kelly was discovered early enough for that orphanage to be shut down. Kelly would then be raised by nuns in a different orphanage for the majority of her early life, but the trauma remains. Kelly kept her childhood doll named Lilibet, while the matron Beamish took it away before locking little Kelly in the closet. It's obvious she got it back later, again suggesting that Kelly's interaction with the matron was short. And of course, it's a dirty Raggedy Ann doll. Shades of Annabelle? Spooky. Interesting quote of the episode comes from the beginning where Grace explains to her insurance man LaPlante that she just hired a team of private investigators. Grace says, "I have retained Mr. Townsend's cherubs." LaPlante queries, "Cherubs?" Bosley chimes in, "Angels. That's what Charlie calls them, angels." And LaPlante responds with a defeated, "Dynamite." I'm probably wrong here, but I don't think the Angels were ever introduced to clients as angels, as if that were their job title before this. It kind of reminds me of Disney's insistence on calling their employees cast members, no matter their job. The most memorable scene of the episode is Jill's frightening ride with a hypnotized Kelly at the wheel. After Terrence programs Kelly to see Jill as a disguised abusive matron Beamish from her orphanage past, the two get into their car to go to breakfast. Convinced that the only way to get rid of Beamish is to follow Terrence's driving directions, Kelly begins to speed toward a broken-down bridge, and a panicked Jill has to come up with something fast to snap her out of it. She eventually remembers Kelly talking about her doll, and convinces her to slow down and return home to get it back. Interesting fashion choice goes to Sabrina. I mean, what the heck is that? It looks like a tie-dyed bathrobe over a rainbow-striped turtleneck. Was Sabrina going to go undercover as Joseph and his technicolor dreamcoat? What makes it stand out even more is the fact that she's wearing it while Jill and Kelly are sporting very plain brown outfits in contrast. It's pretty obvious to the viewers what's going on very early in the episode. It's a classic case of clue catch-up for the protagonists, but it really feels like the Angels come to a correct conclusion much later than normal. It adds to the tense, dark mood with an ending that doesn't seem rushed, so the pacing was really deliberate in this one. Terrence is an assistant to exclusive spiritualist Madame Dorian, who uses his hypnotic electronic devices to gather information on clients and program them to take their stored valuables and put them where he can easily access them. Jill and Kelly decide to investigate Madame Dorian after the victim, Mrs. Rodehaver, claims she still gets financial advice from her deceased husband through seances. A big red flag. Sabrina sticks with Mrs. Rodehaver all day in the guise of a secretary. Like the previous episode, much of the humor comes from the quirky older lady, who has an extremely active lifestyle. much to Sabrina's exhaustion. Kelly poses as a recently orphaned oil heiress looking for spiritual direction and is immediately hypnotized by Terence. Later, during the seance led by Madame Dorian, Kelly actually regresses back to childhood for a moment instead of pretending to contact her made-up father. Jill is impressed with what she assumes is a performance, but Kelly doesn't remember a thing and becomes irritated. Sensing something is wrong with their friend, Sabrina and Jill later try to contact Kelly, but she's already on her way back to Terence for the next set of hypnotic command programming. It's here that Terence finally learns that Kelly is a private investigator and implants the idea that Jill is an old abusive matron in disguise, and she must get rid of her. Madame Dorian is not part of Terence's hypnotic robbery plan, even though she employs him to spice up the fake seances. Madame Dorian begins to believe she can actually contact the dead and has a responsibility to her clients, so an argument ensues. Terence winds up killing Madame Dorian after she tries to contact the police. Sabrina and Jill notice Kelly missing, but must continue on with their case when she shows up as if nothing has happened. Sabrina returns to Mrs. Rodehiver and witnesses her going into a hypnotic trance, pulling out her valuable jewelry. Meanwhile, Jill takes a ride with Kelly to a breakfast spot, not knowing her friend is programmed to crash the car. After snapping Kelly out of her trance, the two rush to Mrs. Rodehiver just in time to cut off Terence. He went to collect one last hypnotic heist and winds up taking Jill as a hostage when cornered. Kelly acts as if she's still in a trance, pointing her gun at Terence, now believing him to be Beamish, which panics him into a confession and surrendering. How well you enjoy this episode directly correlates with whether you buy Jaclyn Smith's acting or not. If you've been watching my reviews from the beginning, you'll remember I pointed out how stiff her acting was in the pilot episode. I'm glad to say she smoothed out her performance here and is able to deliver on some truly intense scenes. IMDb gave this episode a 7.3 out of 10, and I'm willing to bump it up a notch to 7.8. It was spooky and unnerving back in the day, and is still a bit unnerving to modern viewers, but with a splash of unintentional 1970s cheesiness in hindsight. Kinda makes me wish this was ahead of the production schedule and broadcast during the 1976 Halloween season. Good morning, Charlie.